Welcome in, folks, to Arena Football League Weekly. I am your host, Adam Snow, and joining me this week to talk about some Arena Football League playoffs that just happened this last weekend is my father, the founder of the world of football, Randy Snow. Dad, how are you doing? I see we were both rocking our Rampage jerseys.
Yep, a little different color between the two of us. I've got the old style logo. You've got the newer style logo. Yeah, it's just like you and me, old school and new school.
Yep, mine is a replica, obviously made by Royal Retros. It's pretty nice. Yours was one that was literally made by the team and handed to us. There's no nameplate on the back, but it's a Clint Dolezal jersey.
No,
So
yep.
I mean, so they could probably take some notes. I can't tell if the gray's a little. I don't know if it's because I have a light on that the gray's a little lighter
Yeah.
on mine than yours, but we can maybe send them your jersey so that they can, make more awesome, closer,
I'm
accurate jerseys.
I'm not parting with my jersey. Yours looks good enough. It looks really good.
Yeah, and you know what looked really good this last weekend? The Arena Football League on TV. It was such a
Yes,
nice sight to behold.
yes.
We had two games. Obviously, the regular season's over, folks. So we finally got to the playoffs after a bunch of bumps in the road to get to this point. We are now here. So we're gonna break down and look at what happened this last weekend. Then we're gonna look ahead at the games and the semifinal matchups, and then we're gonna tackle a few news items here at the end of the show. So let's just dive into round one of the Arena Football League playoffs, which started Friday night as the number 6 seed Nashville Cats took out the number 4 seed Orlando Predators 62-32. Nashville would score on their first play from scrimmage and would basically set the tone for the entire game after that. They would eventually lead 36-20 at the half. Then they shut out the Predators in the third quarter on their way for a major upset. Dad, I have to ask you, you watched both of these games live. I was a little late, or I was partially watched. I think I watched the entire Cats game. So let me ask you, what do you think the key was? What the key was for the Cats to get this victory? Because I think Orlando was a very heavy favorite in this one.
Yeah, I think so. I think the difference was quarterback Randy Hippert, but we didn't know how he was going to play going into the game because he'd only had one game with the team after being retired for 5 years and coming off the couch to lead him to one win. And then they were off for what 2 or 3 weeks on buys.
3 weeks,
And
yeah.
yeah, and so we didn't know was he going to be rusty still? Was the layoff going to hurt him? Obviously, it did not hurt him at all. He looked fantastic. This was a huge shock. I mean, I thought this might be a good game, a close game, but I did not see Nashville coming out the way they did and just manhandling the Orlando Predators the way they did. It was truly stunning to watch.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Randy Hippert ended up being 15-21 for 165 yards and threw 7 touchdowns during this game. Unbelievable. And then that Cats defense obviously also, made quite a few plays as well. I did also want to point out from this as I was doing my, gathering my information to put the show together. I was looking at the stats for the Predators, and I do have to point out to the statistician there at the AFL.com that you might want to go look at Drew Powell's stat line because it's a little messed up. It says negative 28 incompletions, 42 interceptions, one attempted pass. So there's just some numbers that are a little all over the place, just kind of input wrong. And I just want to throw it out there to whatever staffer's got to take care of that. That hey, you might want to go take a look at that. But I also wanted to talk to you about something from this game that I thought was interesting. We got back one of the announcers we kind of wanted when we started this whole talking about the Arena League. We wanted some good names to do the broadcast, and we were so pleasantly surprised to find out that Ari Wolf would come back to do the playoff games this weekend. He was joined by Brett Muncie.
Muncie, I think.
Brett Muncie, the former Philadelphia Soul head coach. I mean, obviously hearing him back, it was great commentary. But I do want to ask, because at a couple points during the game, they were very forward and not shy about some of their dislike for some of the arena football rules during the broadcast of the game on national television. What did you think of that?
I thought that was interesting, a little refreshing. Like I said, I am old school. I want my arena football league to be the way that it was back in the 2000s and the 2010s. That's the arena football that I remember and I love. And the new rules about the 4-point play and the deuce. those have kind of come from other indoor leagues. I don't know if they necessarily fit in the Arena Football League. They're interesting this year, but I kind of have to agree with Brett Muncie that they don't need the deuce in the Arena Football League. I think they could maybe keep the rouge. I mean, because like even what he was saying, the the deuce takes away the kick return, which is the best part of the game. But at least if you have a rouge going on, they are at least trying to get the ball out of the end zone. If they don't, the other team gets a point. So I'm fine with the rouge. Don't need the deuce, and some of the other extra point plays, 3 point, 4 point play. They've worked this year, but to me that's not really arena football. So I'd be fine if they got rid of those next year.
I feel that. Like I was just surprised that they were so openly, you
Yeah.
know, it was pretty shocking. I'm sitting there, I'm just like, whoa, did they just like it? I hate saying it's like old men's, yelling at cloud, but and like you said, it was a little refreshing. I was just a little taken aback. I'm watching the broadcast. I'm like, whoa, did they just? Wow, they're really just like cutting into this arena football. Like, and we get it. They wanted to try some new rules this year. It's not all the complete rules that we were used to. I'm okay with. I like the Rouge. I like it in the CFL. I think it works for the Arena League too.
Yeah.
It gets the ball out of the end zone. It makes the plays happen. It makes it what's try to get to an exciting play. I'll disagree with. I like the deuce. I like that quite a bit because I would remember back in the day at Van Andel, when they had the old nets, and sometimes if the ball went through the uprights, it'd get caught in the net, and it was just a touchback. And I'm sorry, but that's boring. And I think that if a kicker can do that, give him points. I'm actually okay with that. But I mean, how often does a deuce happen? You get a good kicker, it happens quite often, but you're still going to get plays off the net. So to me, it doesn't eliminate plays off the net. You're still going to get those fun, exciting plays. So that I'll fight against. I'm okay with the deuce, but the 4 point play, the 3 point play, yeah, we could probably get rid of them. I mean they've made for some exciting games this year. Some end results. Team was down by 12 and scored or 11 and scored 12 points because of a play like that. So it's a little gimmicky. I would almost prefer them to transition into something like what if you want a big play like that to determine to be an extra point. Tell the team to go down to their own 5 yard line and try to make a 45-yard play, or something crazy like that. You want the extra points or a big bonus? Something. I know that's still a little far fetched, maybe, but I'd rather see something like that. Something that you got to make them. You want those extra points? You got to do something crazy, not from the 10-yard line. That's a typical arena football play, and you're going to get
Yeah.
4 points for it. I don't know. I was always kind of iffy on that one, but whatever. Something else I wanted to ask you about was just your thoughts on the broadcast from CBS Sportsnet in general.
I thought the broadcast was good. They showed the replay officials going over to the TV set and looking at the replays, which they did years ago when the Arena Football League was going on. I thought that was fantastic, and they're still doing it, so I like that. Yeah, I have no problem at all with the CBS Sportsnet broadcast at all. No, I like it.
Yeah, they did a good job. I like that they would bring up like all the informational stuff because not everybody's totally familiar with the Arena Football League, its rules, and if they are, maybe it's been a while, they need a refresher. And I like that with a niche sport like the Arena Football League, it is nice to have a broadcast partner that will openly be like, "Hey, every game we're going to treat it like we got brand new fans watching. We're gonna." And maybe for us veterans, it'll be old. It's like, oh my God, we know the rules. Do we need this to pop up every time? But I think it's nice and refreshing just to have the broadcasters care enough to be like, hey, we're going to ease you into the product. We're going to walk you through it. And we're going to, help you like learn during the game how the game works. So it's more enjoyable for you. And so I thought they did a very good job with that. And I thought they picked great broadcasters to do the game on top of it. I mean, minus the a little bit of snarky, like, well, I don't like this rule stuff. I mean, other than that, I mean, our Wolf's always been great. And
Yes.
I can't remember if Brett Muncie's covered other games. I think he might have. His voice sounded familiar,
I
but
don't know.
if not, I don't know. He just sounded like a voice I'd heard during broadcast. But overall, I dig the product. I dig how they did the broadcast.
Yep.
All right, guys. Now we're going to move on to the Saturday afternoon game, which saw the number 3 seed Salina Liberty hold off the number 5 seed Southwest Kansas Storm 41-35. Salina was in control in the first half of this game, going up 31-18, but went scoreless in the third quarter, leading to Southwest Kansas tying it up at 34 apiece in the fourth quarter. However, the Storm would fumble a snap that would roll into the end zone, recovered by the Liberty for the go-ahead touchdown. The Storm would have a chance at the end of the game to try to tie things up, but they were stopped on the final pass of the game, and the clock ran out of time. This was a more thrilling game. I was able to catch this in pieces and then catch the end of the game. This was thrilling. I thought Southwest Kansas was almost going to pull that upset off, but
Yeah.
Salina held tough, and this is just a different brand of football was played in this game. What did you see?
Yeah, like you said, a little more running in this game because these two teams came from the what was it, the CIF last year.
Yep.
So they're more used to running and pretty evenly matched teams, and it tied 34. With just a minute or so to go, and having a fumbled play. At first, they thought that maybe the center snapped it too soon, but it looked like the quarterback just mishandled it. He was there to grab it, but he just fumbled it. It rolled in the end zone, got recovered for a touchdown, and still, the Southwest Kansas Storm was there to try one final play, and they didn't have any timeouts, so the ball got caught on like the 2-3 yard line, something like that, and the guy got shoved into the boards, which meant the play was over at that point. And it took him a minute to figure it out because there's a little bit of confusion there at the end. But what a wild ending in that game. So yeah, it was fun to watch, and just in typical fashion, it all came down to the last play of the game.
Yeah. A couple of stats of note I wanted to throw out there. Storm wide receiver Todd Athy had 6 catches for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns during the game. He was kind of the big standout to me going through that. And the Storm offense in general had 26 rushes as a team for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a stat line in arena football history that is very rare to see a game like that. I mean, we've had a couple of individual performances where I think, 1 or 2 times maybe a quarterback or somebody's rushed for over 100 yards in a game.
No, that was Michael Bishop, and the quarterback of the Rampage, and one time he rushed for 100 yards even in a game, and nobody's ever done that. No running back.
Okay.
No other player has ever done that.
But yeah, to even sniff even 80 yards total rushing in an arena football game is also a little unheard of. I don't have all that stats in front of me, so don't at me in the comments. It's all good. But it's just rare. So as a team, I'm looking at the stat sheet. I'm like, wait a minute, there's 6 guys that ran the ball, I want to say. And I added up all that, the running totals, and it's just good Lord. So I think they had 4 players, 3 or 4 players. I'm counting it right now. I got 5 guys, 6 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. I'm going to settle on 5 guys. Quarterback Matt Struck led the team with 18 rushing attempts for 21 yards. He had the 2 touchdowns for the team. But they got a few guys involved in the running game, wide receivers. They even had a middle linebacker on the stat sheet who was credited with a run. So they just like to run the ball. That's a very interesting style. And as we'll talk about in the preview for the upcoming games, that may or may not be something that could help or hurt Salina depending on how much will they can impose on their opponent. But what did you think of the broadcast for this game? I'm sure it wasn't much different than the first playoff game.
No, it was pretty much the same. Same announcers. I mean, they flew right from one game on Saturday to the other game on Sunday, and did the next game. And the Brett Muncie had toned down his opinions a little bit on that game, and he's like, well, maybe the Deuce isn't so bad, maybe the Rouge isn't so bad after that, but it's like he had some time to think about it after actually seeing it in person. So
was it time to think about it, or was it a league exec or a studio person being like, "Hey, nah, we can't do that, bud."
Well, you got to remember that these 2 rules, the Rouge and the Deuce, were implemented by the previous regime in the Arena Football League. So
that's true.
You may not see him next year. I'm just saying they could be gone next year.
They could be gone, yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if they were gone. Like I said, I like both of those. It's just the extra point stuff. I was wondering, because I didn't get to catch the whole game, so I was wondering if maybe somebody would have stepped in and told him, hey, can we tone it down, please, or whatever. But I guess what I was originally thinking of was when they first did that first broadcast, it sounded like they didn't really keep up with what the league had been doing up to, hey, can you come broadcast for this game this weekend? Yeah, sure. Have you watched any of the previous 10 weeks? Nope, I heard it was trash, so I didn't pay attention. It's kind of how that felt. It's kind of how that felt at first, and
Yeah.
as they kind of eased themselves back into the game.
Right.
So I thought that was a little weird. So I'm glad to hear that maybe for the second game it seemed like they were a little more on board, whether that be by their own uh you know comfortability or by somebody saying, hey, just stick to the script.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
But all right, let's look ahead. We got two great matchups this upcoming weekend for the semifinals. On Saturday, July 13th, you're going to have the number 3 seed Salina Liberty travel to the number 2 seed Albany Firebirds at 2:30 Eastern on CBS Sportsnet. This should be a pretty good game. These are two teams that never played each other during the regular season. These two wildly different styles of team. Albany, behind wide receiver Anthony Prince, quarterback Metlock, you know, they got quite the firepower there in the air, in the air attack. But Salina has a decent defense, and they have a, a very, very big philosophy based around the run game. So which of these philosophy wins out? I think this will be an interesting game to watch because it's going to be that clash of philosophies. Southwest Kansas kind of had that same running philosophy, and look how that ended up the last time they went up to Albany to play the Firebirds for the Storm. They kind of got the doors blown off of them. So I'll be very curious to see if that's going to happen to the Salina Liberty, or do they control that game and ground and pound it against Albany? And, maybe we're looking at a 24-35 type, game at the end, or who knows?
Yeah, I think that with the running style of Salina Liberty team and the more pure passing offense by the Albany Firebirds, I would give the advantage to the Firebirds. I mean, if you can score quickly, on just a couple of plays, 2 plays, 3 plays in a drive, and boom, you're in the end zone. They can rack up a lot of points, and at that point, doesn't matter what your ground game is because you need to score points fast in order to keep up with Albany. So, uh, I I look for Albany to win this game, just based on the fact that they don't run as much.
Yeah. And for an Albany team too, like they also have a big advantage with kicker Mark Orozco. He's a guy who can get that ball and get those deuces, and that'll add up too. So he's quite the weapon there. I think he could be an unsung hero for a playoff victory too, on top of Prince, who to me is the league MVP of the year. But Randy Hippert, though, man, even after only playing a couple games, Randy Hippert for the Cats, though, might be another guy. I'm like, he look what he did to that team. A very valuable asset, especially if they take him to win a championship. Obviously, he only played in one regular season game, so they probably wouldn't give it to Hippert. But no, so I'm very interested in what this Salina Albany game will end up looking like. I'm with you. I think the Firebirds win this, though. I don't know if it'll be a blowout, but it wouldn't shock me if they do. And it's nothing against Salina. Salina, who, like I said, if they can ground and pound and control that game, they're in it. They play good close games. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, and then the second matchup, which is also Saturday, July 13th, the number 6 Nashville Cats will travel to the number 1 seed Billings Outlaws. This game, though, is at 10 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports. So it's going to be a late night for us who want to watch this game, which should be an interesting one.
Yeah, this is past my bedtime. I don't know if I may have to drink a lot of Mountain Dew to stay up that late to watch that one. But I'm very interested to watch this game. I really don't know who's going to win this game. Nashville was a huge surprise last week, and I expect them to play just as well this week as they did last week. Billings, the number 1 team, man, this is going to be a real great game, and I don't know who's going to come out on top in this game. It's two teams I think that are going to be pretty evenly matched, and it'll probably come down to whoever has the ball in their hands last, just like a true arena football game.
I think that's what we're going to end up getting in this one. It's going to be probably a high scoring back and forth. What team can make the fewest mistakes?
Yep.
And does Randy Hippert's success continue? I think if it does, he slings it for 7 touchdowns. It's going to be the Cats. And the Cats looked hot. The defense played great, and they just punched the Predators in the mouth. Yeah, they already beat the Outlaws once in their own building, so they're going back to try to do it again. So you can't rule the Cats out. It's like they've been there, done that. Like
Yep.
they could do it again. But you don't want to count out the Outlaws. They got a great team there. We
No.
talked about that. We love a lot of stuff about the Outlaws, and I'm very curious. I'd like to see them pack that place, hopefully for a playoff game. That's something I'd like to see.
Yeah.
But if you right here on the spot asking me who wins this game,
no,
I think it's the Nashville Cats. I think it's the Nashville Cats. And that hat turn was not planned, by the way. It just happened. I swear, it just happened. Because I would not normally want to wear a Nashville Cats hat with a Rampage jersey. That just feels wrong to me.
Yeah, it does. It's wrong. It is wrong.
It's very wrong. All right, guys, and we'll end the show today with a little bit of news from around the Arena Football League, starting with the Arena Football League announced a partnership for their international broadcast this last weekend. So if you were in an international market, you were able to use this service called DAZN, spelled DAZN. It reaches 200 countries worldwide. This service reaches. I didn't have to use it. I really don't know much about this service, but for those of you in international markets, this is what you want to use to find arena football games.
I mean, it's not DAZN like I was pronouncing it last week because I'd never heard of it before.
No. We were corrected. Thank you to our friend Tim from Arena Fan for correcting us, as he usually does. I love it when I make a mistake and then I get a message on my phone from Tim saying, it's not Arena Bowl with a space, it's Arena Bowl one word. Or, it's not pronounced DAZN or DAZN, however the heck we said it. It's DAZN. DAZN. And
yeah, a good week is when we get through a show and Tim doesn't call to correct us or send us a text to correct us. That way we know we're good.
That usually just means Tim's not watching us. And by the way, Tim got a shout out during that broadcast.
He did.
Playoff game. So good for him.
Yep.
So Tim got some clout. Just gonna say that. All right. Our next news item we got here. Hey, for those of you lucky enough who are going to be going to the Arena Bowl in a couple weeks or in a week now, shoot.
Yeah.
That being Randy, who over there is going to be going. You have the opportunity to meet Commissioner Jeff Fisher, who will be participating in a book signing and Q&A at the Arena Bowl, with no space between those words. He'll be joining Leonard Marshall and author Gary Myers, who wrote Gary Myers, who is the author of the book Once a Giant, telling the story of the 1986 New York Giants Super Bowl season. And I brought this story up because, Dad, you'll be at the game. I assume you're going to go to this Q&A?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, you're going to get a book signed? I know it's a Giants book, but...
I can sell it on eBay, I guess. I don't know.
I was like, you got to have plenty of room on that football bookshelf of yours.
I am running out of room. I got to get another bookshelf. I got books on the floor now. I don't have space for them.
Oh, man. That's a sad thing to hear when the World of Football bookshelf is getting all filled up.
Hey, the library is ever expanding.
Yeah. But no, I think this is cool that they announced this. I figured that we would start getting some announcements for some of the events and some stuff that'll start trickling in, around the Arena Bowl festivities. This was one I was like, all right, that's cool. The commissioner's obviously he was going to be there, but it's cool that he's doing this type of event. So I hope you get in. I hope you can check it out at least. Maybe you can go in and ask a question, Randy. Maybe. Videotape it, please.
Who knows?
The channel needs content. But I don't know. I'm curious to see what other stuff's going to follow it, like around either that, because that's earlier. That's like at 3:00. I want to say this Q&A is, and then the game's at like 5:30, if I'm not mistaken. So start packing in these events. I want to see what else they got. I'm very curious, and it's cool that the commissioner will make himself available like that to just fans who are going to be at the game.
Yeah. Now I plan to take in as much as I can while I'm there.
I hope you do. All right, and then our final story this week. If you remember in our last episode I did, we talked about how the Arena Football League posted that graphic about all their social medias. They updated because apparently their Instagram got hacked, so they didn't have access to their Instagram, so they changed that. Well, apparently they have reclaimed that Instagram account, the official Arena Football Instagram is now once again at official AFL. They've been posting a few a few things on there. I was pleasantly surprised to see that as I was scrolling through Instagram earlier today. So just wanted to mention that, especially after talking last week, how they kind of not overhaul, but they were at least letting everybody know all the social handles, the official handles they were using, especially before the playoffs, the Arena Bowl. You kind of want to connect with the fans. So good that they got that settled out. Anything else, Dad? Do you want to say before we wrap up this week's episode?
No, I'm glad you finally invited me along on your playoff edition. You went through 10 weeks doing the show all by yourself, and you did a great job. But yeah, I'm glad to be here for the playoff run and the Arena Bowl. So looking forward to a great couple of weeks here.
It's not like you didn't have the invitation. You didn't want to do it. You kept turning your nose up at me, and then you saw how successful the show was. And you're like, well, I guess I will be a part of this now.
You caught me.
Yep, I knew it. But I figured also having you on to talk playoffs, would be fun, and especially with you going to the Arena Bowl, we'll probably have an earlier episode in the week because I don't know when you're leaving for the Arena Bowl since you're driving all the way to New Jersey.
I'm leaving next Wednesday, so
okay, so we'll get a show up before that, or I'll at least record with you before you hit the road. So we'll get that figured out. We'll have an early episode previewing Arena Bowl 33, and that's when we'll see you guys next. For Randy, I've been Adam Snow. Thanks for watching. You can find the World of Football on various social media platforms. We'll have the links down in the description below. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. It would be greatly appreciated. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, I'm Adam Snow.
And I'm Randy Snow.
And we'll see you next week to talk about previewing Arena Bowl 33.